so much for joining me today. Today we are going to discuss and we're going to see how all the ways that we can support insomnia with our system. So for the purpose of this training, I didn't connect the device so we can move along faster in the system. So the first thing that we're going to do here is that we are going to create the client. And in this case, I'm going to use like a test client, but sometimes I like to set the intention at the beginning of the session, starting with a name. So if I know that I'm going to be treating insomnia, then I will definitely add that into the name. So in this way, I know that I'm very specific. So let's pretend that this is going to be Ted's client's name. And then I will put in there insomnia healing or insomnia support. Then in here we will decide, we will select if it's male or female. In this case, I will do female. For the SOG, I will do zeros for no's and ones for yes. So in here, under unresolved mental factors, I will add a 1 because right now I'm working with insomnia support. I will literally just take into consideration that a mental factor, or sometimes those type of things that we keep thinking and thinking and thinking pretty much like in a loop, could be part of the problem. So because of that, I will leave, I'm going to add a 1 in there. Okay, so for all the other ones, I use zeros, and for the number of glasses of water, I will ask specifically to the client, and I will put in here the number of glasses of water the client drinks per day, because sometimes hydration can be also linked to the problem of insomnia. If someone is wait a second, someone else is here. Okay, so if the client is not well hydrated, that person can have like a lot of issues falling asleep as well. Okay, so we're going to save the client, close. The biorhythm came out, but I don't want to go there, so we're going to click no, go to calibration. We're going to use a comprehensive matrix. Let's start with the fast track calibration program before we jump into doing the test. So during this last month, I received multiple questions regarding insomnia and whether or not if we have like a specific protocol for dealing with insomnia. And the thing is, like, with our system, we can support in so many ways. But for me, rather than having just a protocol for something, it is really important that we look what the matrix is pointing out. And also it is really important for us to understand what is the specific root cause for that specific client to be dealing or having this issue. In this case is insomnia, right? So I will click here under search and clear field anomalies. So this button, adjust calibration, will turn on, and then we can click in here to adjust the calibration. I like to work with at least 95. Okay, so now that I have reached 95, we're going to close here, and let me just mute her. Okay, Elsie, and then in here. Okay, so Gigi, also mute yourself. Okay, perfect. Now we're going to proceed to the test. Okay, and before I do my test, I like to put in here on my test tray, in my whole tray, what we're working on. Okay, so we're going to click prepare test. We are going to proceed to do the test. Okay, so I see very quickly in here that my bar hope, it's pretty much normal, everything. So I don't get any clues from here from my bar hope. Let me see here. Okay, so the only thing that I will see is the resonance frequency pattern is above like 15,000. So in here we can see that the nervous system is under stress. Probably we have like a psychic attack, pain. We're going to close this and let's move forward to see all the other clues. Okay, so at the beginning of any session, usually the way I like to set up my sessions is that after conducting the test, I will quickly go onto the risk profile. I will load my current patient. Okay, okay. And then from here, I will always pick the 3 at the bottom in red, and I will get 3 at the top. So in here, I notice that we have trauma, hypohydrenia, inflammation, and then here on the red ones, we have amoeba, lymphatics, and sugar regulation, okay? So from here, I will copy, treat the areas above, and from here, I go to therapy, and I will paste that information in here. I often also like to write in here what I'm working on, okay? So I will also put in here insomnia. And for those who have the Synapse package, I will open my Synapse report. Okay, oops. Oh, because the device is not connected. Okay, so because the device is not connected, it went, the Synapse report went into trial mode. Okay, so in here, I will check the emotional concerns, and I usually copy these ones, and I'll bring them in here, and I will also see in here the SAR codes, and I will copy those and bring them in here into the organ relationship. So right here, I will click Add to Schumann Wave, and I will pay attention to the suggested therapies. So we have the automeridian, and we have trivector and DNA. So we're gonna come back for that later because I'm still setting up my background panels and all of that. So right here, before I exit this window, I will click here until multimedia. And I know that for the past years, and pretty much all the trainers that I have, a lot of people used to say that, oh, if you click on multimedia to create a protection or a protected field between what's going on. But if you're reading here, in this new version, when you scroll here, well, it came a couple of weeks ago. Okay, so when you scroll here, sometimes you'll see a message that tells you that when you click here, it is actually kind of like a healing. It's a spiritual healing for the client. It has nothing to do with the therapies that is conducted in the client. So this is the first click, and it's pretty much like one of the first therapies that you activate in the system to help with spiritual healing for the client, okay? So I'm going to exit here. We're going to exit here. Now I notice that we are given in here the fatty acid liquescence. So usually what I like to do is that I'll bring this into my info box, and after I exit my risk profile and after exiting my universal panel, I always get suggestions in here for remedies that are going to help in my client's wellness, okay? So all these remedies, we can also look for them and we can add them into the info box, or you can also treat them one by one. I don't want to click here now because usually the first treatment that you do in the session, it usually blocks the system for 3 minutes. So before doing that, I want to go to the dark field, because when we go to the dark field, okay, and in here we click blood treatments. Here we can click long-term therapy active, and all these piggybacks are going to transfer to my body viewer and are going to transfer to the disease dictionary as well. But in here, we always have many hints of where the blockages are. So if you look in here, we see, look for deep spiritual blockage, okay? So we also have in here excess of insulin, okay? We also have in here anger, pain, fear of failure. So I'm pretty much paying attention to all the emotions and all the things that can be bothering the client at the moment of sleep. So definitely we need to look for spiritual blockages, and we also need to work out the anger and the fear of failure. So I'm going to put notes in here, anger, and then fear of failure, okay, and spiritual, and I will put in here spiritual. Then we close here, and the following thing, now you see we have Candida in here, so I'll bring it to my box as well. Now I'm going to set up my body viewer, iridology. I will open DGen scan. I will open the disease dictionary. So disease dictionary, sometimes it takes a little bit to open, so I'm going to give it some time. For disease dictionary, I got used to following the SST sessions, so I do work with 4 disease dictionaries, and sometimes, depending on the case, I will open also a couple of cancer scans, right? But today, because I have this Zoom on, usually when the Zoom and I'm recording at the same time, it makes the program slower, so I'm not going to open another cancer scan, okay? But now that we have all of this, I'm going to go back to the universal panel. So we can go back from here, or you can go back from the risk profile. And I always do the color therapy, scalars. For the scalar, I like to open the short circuits in here. And I like to see in here the numbers of the chakra system. So I'm noticing here that the stomach is out of balance. And we also see that heart is out of balance. So I'm going to click in here. And if time allows, I will sit in here until I rectify this before I go back to the scalar harmonics program. Now we have an 86, and we also got an 86 for the stomach. So I'm going to leave it like that for now. Because later on, I'm going to go to the NLP. Since I'm already here, I'm going to open the organ chart. So I will be able to work with my emotions chart later. Since we're here, I'm going to trip top and bottom. We got a 95 rectification. That's good enough. So in here, I always click for the long-term therapy. I will do treat all. And now that we're here, I will do the recommended therapies. So first we got the automeridian. So I will do the automeridians. But besides doing the automeridians and the acupoints, I already know that I'm treating insomnia. So I will go in here into the acupoint pictures, and I will look for the specific points that are for insomnia. So I prepared this sheet for you. If you want, you can do a screenshot. So we have in here the HT4_7. So let me just look for that. Oh my God, did I just skip it? Do you know what? I'll do something that is going to be faster. Let me just copy this. So we can come in here with the custom form, and we can just paste that in there. So in this way, I can treat all those points at the same time, and I don't have to be looking one by one. Okay, so we're going to paste those in here. Whoops. Just make sure don't have any space in front of the yes. Oops, I skipped something in here. Wait, let me just go back. And then I'll do this one. So what I'm doing in here is that when you click the consciousness form test, automatically will take the acupoints that present more blockages, and it will load them in this form. So if you have other specific points, like me in this case, you can type those points in here where it says 11. You can replace the 11s with those points. Okay, so I'm going to just put that in here. And now we can click start. And we are literally just treating all these meridian channels and these specific points at the same time. So we continue to click on their start until we have a resonance that is above 100, okay? Or the other way in here is until you see this green bar getting pretty much all the way here. This is like 100%, so right here, it's pretty much like 90%. So because of that, I will just leave it like this. It's above 85. And now we go here into the acu digits, and after going into the acupuncture pictures, we see that this hidden button will appear. So when we click here, repair all, we are going to work on all of these things. So usually sometimes you have to click more than once for all these series to appear. Okay, so now we're going to close that. And the other thing we saw in here we needed to work with the auto trivector and the DNA. So I will click on here, use electron gelatin boost. I will start with that. And now, before going into the DNA, I want to go back to the main matrix. Oh, we have an alarm in here. Okay, because I want to look for the specific chromes that are involved with the insomnia, okay? So in here, we're going to go into my search. bar, okay? And we're going to click search trait. And we are going to pay attention to the things that we have here at the bottom and at the top, okay? So right now, okay, sunshine tool works. It's pretty much like telling us, it's suggesting a couple of remedies. So we have valeriana here, but in here we have something for anxiety. In here you can see that there's some depression involved. We see for depression, insomnia. Let's see here at the top. Okay, so in here we see repetitive thought pattern. Okay, so right now, this for me is a very big hint that we need to be working on the brain. We need to work brainwave, or we can also go into time cybernetic therapies. And sometimes we can add in here, in this, I will ask to that client in specific, what are the thoughts that are constantly keeping you awake? Okay, so once people tell me, like, I don't know, like, oh, I keep thinking that I want to quit my job, or I want to, I don't know, like, solve this issue or solve that. So I will literally just type in here the exact words. Work is keeping me awake at night. Whoop. Or the fight that I had with my, I don't know, sister 25 years ago. Anyways, like, you know, you have to be like really specific, and this works wonders when we add in here the exact words of the client. And once we add that information in here, I will encourage you to come here and do ease psychological strife. So that is a wonderful therapy to pretty much like start, it's not to start dissolving, but it's to start unblocking and also to create like new neural pathways. So our thoughts are cyclical. So usually when we think about something, if you pay attention, you will have like similar thoughts around the same times during the days. So when we do this, pretty much like we are reprogrammed the way we're thinking, and we're also releasing all those repetitive thoughts. So before doing the psychological strife, I usually like to bring this to max, both, and in here you can adjust the time too. So for example, if the person tells me like, oh, I don't know, I continue to, well, I have that specific client that he had issues since he was 17. He's now 80, he's 80 years old now. So when we started talking, he told me that he lost his mom when he was 16. So on his case, in the main matrix, when we look for insomnia, the first things that came out was abandonment. So I wrote in here like the way that the mom passed away, the age that the mom passed away, the feeling of abandonment, the feeling of fear, the feeling of being alone, all of that. And in here, because this person, that problem started when he was like in his teens and he's now 80, so I will not imagine for all of this to get rectified under a minute. So what I did is I moved this to 8 minutes, then start the ease psychological strife, and then this will work out for 8 minutes, and after those 8 minutes we're going to see a rectification in here. So after 8 minutes we can just move it back to 2 minutes and click ease psychological strife until we get a rectification of 85 and above. It's better if you have the time to make this rectification to go all the way to 100. So and the reason why I encourage you to start with 8 minutes is because usually when you leave it at 2 minutes, you'll have to do it multiple times until you get a good rectification in here. Okay, it's just like today, because the box is not connected, I wonder if I click 8 minutes, I don't know if it's going to block for 8 minutes. That's why I don't want to click there. Okay, so now that we have 87 in here, we can move along. Okay, the other things in here that are very beneficial that when we're working with insomnia is to do this brainwave therapy. So if you do harmonic therapy, it will also deal with the depression. It will also deal with all the not only the insomnia, but what I'm talking about insomnia is that there's an alarm activated in the brain where you don't feel safe to fall asleep. For that reason, your brain is keeping you awake. So when we're dealing with this, it is really important for us to readjust the brain wave and to work in here until we get all the zeros in here. Okay, so now we have okay, we can continue to click into harmonic therapy until you get all zeros. And once we have this, the brain is going to reset. And in the majority of the cases, my clients will start having a better sleep. Okay. The other thing that we can do in here is that when we search for insomnia here, I will encourage you always to balance. So we can click the highest and the lowest item. So we can click in here and treat until we get 100%. And I will also pay attention of the in here of the things that are not only the remedies but the hints. What is the connection with this? So it's telling us repetitive thought patterns. That's why we went into the cybernetic therapies and we rebalance the brainwave. Okay, in here, the other thing that I will encourage you to do is that once we have insomnia, so we have in here insomnia, but I want the case. I want to make sure that I'm not taking a remedy or I'm not taking anything else. So from here, we can drag this into the whole trade and we can go into the list of compounds and we can search for the chromes. In here, we can select chromos and then test item whole trade above. And we're going to see in here what are the chromos that are involved with this, okay? So we can take note of that. I'm going to remove this. And I'm going to put in here, okay, 14P, then we have 21Q. So if you notice, 21Q, we have it twice. So right there, the system is telling us, pay attention into this one. So remember that in the universal panel, we got a suggestion for DNA treatment. So now we can go here into the trivector. Trivector is done. So if we click here, we're going to see the DNA treatments. And in here, we can bring the chromos, that we just found. So we can type them in here. So we just make sure that we have one space between the number and the letter, and then 2 spaces between the letters and the numbers. So we're going to put in here Q, 2 spaces, 1 space for the Q, no, 2 spaces for this, 1 for this. So I will add that information in here. Then we do a 10 short electrical repair. And after that, we'll do scan and repair genes until we get 100% or until this button grades out. Once we have this, if you notice that we have all the bars very irregular. We have ones that are very little and other ones are tall. So for a good DNA treatment support, before we leave this panel, we need to make sure that all the bars are as high as possible and that we don't see this wave. They need to be pretty much aligned. So what I would suggest for you is to do DNA tingle until we pretty much align those parts and until we don't see that much of a wave. So right now, I will say that this is looking a lot better. Then after completing this, we're going to click here DNA telomere repair. And this is pretty much to save what we did, okay? So this is like saving all that information. So we're going to hide in here and we're going to go back to the main matrix. So I like to always add that information into my info box because I'm going to sap all this later on. So the other thing we can do is that we can go here under emotions, okay? Test item, whole trade above, and I'm going to see what are the emotions that are implicated in this issue of insomnia. So we have in here denial, passivity, resentment, and then we also have this one here. So depending on your time, you can select one by one and treat them. So we can treat until this emotion gets rectified, or we can also bring it to the info box. The thing with the info box is that in the info box, we're sending multiple signatures frequencies at the same time, so you get a rectification of the whole box. But if you really want to pay attention and to see which one of these emotions is the one that is like triggering the most, I will suggest you to do one by one, because then you will notice how many clicks did it take you to rectify passivity. In here I did 8 clicks. Okay, so denial, we're going to look for denial, and let's see how many clicks would it take for denial to rectify. So 1, 2, 3. So denial took 14 clicks. Okay, so now we know that denial is something that definitely we can, I will say, we can work and support in another panel as well. Okay, I'm going to put in here that it took me 14 clicks to rectify. Okay, let's see about resentment. Oh, where is resentment? We're going to look for resentment. It's right here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so resentment also took 14 clicks. So I will also write in here resentment, 14 clicks. Okay, and effect of emotional release, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, and Circadian took like 16 clicks. Okay, so what I'll do is that those emotions, I will work them in the NLP panel. Let me, oops, I'm trying to copy all this. I'm going to bring it in here. So I'm going to write in here denial and resentment. Whoops. And I usually share these emotions with my clients as well. And in the majority of the cases, when you tell them, oh, okay, like, you know, your insomnia is related to denial, resentment, and this and that, usually there is always something that pops in their head, like, oh, yes, this issue, or I haven't been able to acknowledge, or I haven't been able to go over this and that. So those specific, I would say, thoughts are important, and I will also write them down, because we can also work those thoughts either in here or also in the cybernetic panel. Okay, so I'm going to write this, and I also like to always add the concern the wellness concern that I'm working with. So I'm going to add in here the emotions and the wellness concern, and I'm going to click under unconscious reactivity. In here, we're going to add the age of the client, or we can add 0. Okay, in this case, I'm going to add, okay, this client was 80 years old. Then we click start, and in here, oh wow, this is unbelievable. Sometimes, like, I just got goosebumps because it's so funny. I feel like this system is so amazing, because although when I was creating my client, I put test client insomnia, but a specific client came into my mind when I was creating the file. So I'm not using the client's name, and I'm not using the information of that client. But in here, for some reason, I decided to use his age. So I'm thinking about this person. And this is the client who told me that his mom passed away at the age of 16, but he learned that his mom was sick at the age of 15. Okay? So it's unbelievable that I'm just shocked about the connection, that the results that I'm seeing in here are pretty much like the results that I saw when I was working on that specific client, just because on my intention, I'm thinking about this case. So it's unbelievable. Anyways, moving forward with this, we see in here that the traumas detected are at the age of 16. Okay, I'm noticing here. Yes, my intention came out in here in the NLP in the NLP panel. That's unbelievable. Yeah. Okay. So in here we can also add disease type. So everything that has to do with insomnia, as I earlier mentioned, it comes from the brain. So I was putting here there is a psychological disease, but it can also create a muscular disease because your muscles are not able to relax. Okay, and eventually, after so many years of not being able to sleep, it will also create some degeneration. So I'm going to add those in here. In here, sometimes if you have like further information of the diagnosis, you can also put it in here. Okay, so I'm going to just do the disease path. And now, look, the way I interpret this is that the emotional conflict always has different people involved in this. So now you see in here, the mother is involved. As I told you before, the mother passed away at the age of 16, right? A few years later, the father remarried, and they were 11 children. And when the father remarried, the new wife didn't want to take care of the kids, so the kids got split with all the uncles and cousins and aunts. So 3 went to live with one aunt, other 3 went to live with another aunt, and like that. So now we have in here that this conflict involves the mother who passed away, the father who abandoned them, God, because I imagine like for a child of like 15 or 16 years old, he will probably resent God. And now we see the resentment coming out in here: resent God, resenting mother for passing, resenting father, the inner spirit, karma. It's amazing how it's like a big puzzle, but as we move along in every single panel, we see like all the pieces start to make sense, and now we're able to connect all those little pieces to be able to see the big picture. So now that we have this information in here, we can treat the emotional profile above until we get a rectification of, I usually like the rectification to be 104, but 101 it's good, okay, it's okay as well. And then we are going to treat the profile for the time set at right, okay? And in here as well, between 85 and 104, it's okay. If we have time, I will also encourage you to click each of these items that comes in here until they get rectified, okay? Or until you get 84, between 84 and 104, okay? So in here, we are pretty much doing like a cleanse of every single file that contains or that activates the insomnia issue, okay? So we're going very into a specific items that are connected to this. Okay, the excess of sugar, the excess of drugs, whoops. Now we see here that is linked to pituitary and the occipital lobe brain. So in here, I'll take note of that. So occipital and then pituitary, whoops. Now, I will also take note of the medulla oblongata. Whoops. Then we see in here it is also connected to dental and the pineal gland. So depending on our time, we can decide whether or not we want to address every single line that we have in here, or we can take note of that for a next session. So I know that today I won't have time to do the dental, so in here I'm going to put a note for next session. I will check the dental panel and the connection that we have on the dental panel with the insomnia. And in here, I believe I also saw the pineal gland, so I'm going to add in here pineal. Okay, so from here, I will go to the association to the spine. And first, we're going to click the items that are highlighted in red. That for me indicates that there is a specific information that is being stored in there and that is connected with yes, with the wellness issue that we're working. We also notice in here you have another vertebra that is highlighted, so I'm going to click in there as well. But if you notice, we have the whole cervical area and the whole lumbar area in pink. That means that it is somehow connected to what we're working with. So you can click in each one, and this is pretty much like, I think it's between 1 to 5 seconds saps. So right now we don't see the working box because the device is not connected, and I think the saps are too short. But if we click in here under the neuro-emotional complex, we can add in here the substance. So usually I like to add in there things that are related to what I'm working with. So I put in here, where did I put it? 662 is a remedy for insomnia. Okay, so I'm going to click copy that, and I'm going to bring that signature in here. And now I'm going to start treating until I get corrections for everything. So have you noticed that when you put a remedy in here that is literally connected to the wellness issue that you're treating, you will notice that the rectifications are very quickly. It only took me 2 clicks to rectify and to correct everything, okay? So you can always do that, or you can also use from the synapse report the crystals, okay? Where the crystals, you can look for them in here at the top of the extreme category values. Okay, so now moving on, from here, from my NLP panel, I will go to the association with homotox. I will click into info click first. Okay, now I will go here under mental, because remember that today we're doing everything that is related with our brain, and I will test and treat the emotions until this button grades out. Okay, now we literally treated all the emotions that create toxicity in the system. Okay, now we're going to close this, and I will go back to the NLP. Whoop. Okay, now after closing the NLP, there are a couple of things in here that I also want to show you. Okay, let me see. Okay, so we already looked for the emotions and we already looked for the chromosomes. But in here, going back to the list, the dedicated list of compounds, you can look for the crystal energy, okay? That it's going to support this wellness issue, and we can sap them one by one. You can do one by one of these ones until you get a rectification of 100%. You can also look for the nada janis, because okay, where is the nada janis? Whoops. Oh, here. Okay, and test item hold trade above, because we want to support as much as possible this wellness issue, and we are pretty much like looking all the things that are going to benefit the client to be able to compensate or overcome or balance what he needs to balance to be able to go back to homeostasis. Okay, so in here, the first one we have is the Narajani says is for sleep disorders. So we can click in here until we get a rectification of 100%. Then we have Narajani for paralysis balance. So we're going to as well click until we get a very good rectification in here. We have Narajani for peace and love. That's amazing. Now we have Narajani for brain and memory tonic. We see in here like brain fatigue and all of that. So after doing this, we can also look in here for the bad flowers that can benefit this wellness issue. So we click in here, test item, hold trade above, bad flowers. And now we have in here the bad flower for self-repression, self-denial. Okay, so we're going to double click until we get a rectification of 100%. This one, it's something very interesting. When I see that a specific bad flower is recommended multiple times, then I know that the client will really benefit from this. So we can either prepare the remedy using our test rate and provide that remedy for the client to take home, or we can tell the client, you know what, I think you can benefit from having this bad flower, so you can write it down for them to also buy it. Okay, now we have the bad flower feather, and then the bad flower for leeches. Okay, so this is just like a few ideas of how you can get started to work with the insomnia. Other things that are very important that usually we tend to forget is the minerals. Okay, so we can go in here into the minerals, test item hold right above, and we're going to see what are the minerals that can be also playing a role in this wellness issue. So we have in here potassium. Okay, we see that there is a mineral deficiency of pretty much all of them. Okay, then in some cases I have recommended my clients to take potassium and also magnesium citrate and potassium citrate, and after starting taking those, they were able to have a very good sleep. Then, talking about minerals, we can go in here into the nutrition panel, okay? And under, in this line where it says insert disease, I usually like just to copy and paste. I think it's faster. So I'm going to type in here insomnia, then click test disease for best nutritional supplements, and you can double click those supplements and click in here Nutri-Energy Balance to rectify those. Okay, so we can click in there. Very good. Also, since we're here, always treat the stress and cortisol. They play a big role in insomnia. Okay, so we're going to see cortisol in here is balanced, but then I will double check in here the sex hormones. Okay, the hormones in general are not balanced, and I will do the adrenal balance until we rectify those. Perfect. So let me just very quickly see the digestion will need support. We see in here that the vitamin B needs support, vitamin D. Vitamin D is so important for insomnia. Okay. Okay. And I will also treat the cake. Okay, perfect. Now, moving on, the other thing that I want you to think about is in the EPR enhancement. Okay, you can go under stimulate reaction and you can type in insomnia, or if you have the letters from the matrix, you can also type that in here. You can do invert insomnia and start correcting until you get a rectification of 104. Okay, the other thing, and we need to pay attention with this. So in this specific example, I noticed that the emotions play a big role in the insomnia. Okay, sometimes with other clients I have things like that are pretty much related to the muscle pain, nerves, toxicity, those type of things. So when the insomnia is related to that, or when we have like issues that are more related to the nervous system, then you can do nerval reactivity in here. So you can type insomnia here, and then you can click here nerval reactivity until you get a rectification of 104. Okay, the other thing that we cannot forget is that for the body to be able to have very good sleep and to be able to recharge energy during our sleep, we need to have a nervous system that is balanced. So we can always come here to the autonomic nervous system and then make sure that we are taking some time to providing here the support that they need to rebalance the nervous system. I just noticed that when I don't have the box connected, usually if I click in this panel, it will freeze. So I just forgot and I click on it. So we're going to give it some time. The reason why it freezes is because this is one of the panels that even if the box is not connected, it's going to block the system for 1.5 minutes. and I just forgot. So my apologies for that. But in here, it is really important for us to remember that if someone is not sleeping, probably the sympathetic nervous system is way out of balance. So we need to come in here and to rectify the sympathetic stabilization until we get 100%. Also, since we're here, it's always recommended to treat or stabilize the parasympathetic and the vagus nerve, okay? So in the meantime, while the system is like counting the 1.5 minutes, I want to share with you other things that we can do in the class portal. So the class portal, as you pretty much know by now, I love the class portal. And in the class portal, we can do brainwave balance. This is so important for treating insomnia because if the brainwave is out of balance, it means that from the messages that the brain is sending is not allowing us to sleep properly, okay? So I will recommend to do this. We also have insomnia in here. We also have sleep chromo reset. And this is amazing. I did this with one client for 60 minutes. And after that, he sent me a text and like, oh, I slept like a baby after doing that. Okay, it was really good. It only took one session for the sleep chromo reset to work for this client. We also have in here the sleep rhythm regulation. And this is pretty much to reset the circadian rhythm, okay? So this one also is really beneficial. And one of the things that I love about the class portal is that if you're working in this case, we're working with insomnia, right? So I'm going to type in here a few letters of the wellness issues that I want to work, and I will go in here to auto test. If I get things that are above 25 minutes, the system is already telling me that your client, it will really benefit from this session, from this therapy. But in here, okay, we got insomnia 36 minutes. I want to see which one is the therapy that will benefit the most. So in here, sleep chromo reset is only suggesting me to do that for 2 minutes. So now I know that insomnia, it's going to benefit most this client. Let's say a sleep rhythm regulation. We're going to click here, auto test. It's 32 minutes. So we saw that insomnia is recommending 33 minutes and sleep rhythm regulation is 32 minutes. So now I know that both of these treatments or trainings are going to benefit the client. Now, I also want to see in here, swim with dolphins, okay? We're going to auto test. And swim with dolphins will definitely benefit my client as well. So now we have 3 options that are going to be really beneficial for the client, okay? So we have swim with dolphins, we have the insomnia, and we also got the sleep rhythm regulation, okay? The other things that can benefit a client that is suffering from insomnia is deep muscle relaxation. So we can go in here and find out deep muscle relaxation is only suggesting me 3 minutes, so it's not for this client. Sometimes we have relaxed mind, so we're going to put in here relax mind, 6 minutes, reduce stress in nerves, okay? We're going to auto test 10 minutes. So I think we got a winner. I will go with the specific wellness that we want to support because it got me the highest number. So I will start this for 60 minutes. I make sure that I selected my client. I selected insomnia and I will click in here for 60 minutes. If you go in here into show advanced info, you will notice that will tell you what are the homeopathics, the bat flowers, and also some of the crystals that you can also use for this client. When you're using the class portal, all the information that you see in here is automatically added into the trainment as a piggyback. In here, we also have all the piggybacks that came out that can benefit the wellness issue with the client. So we can add those piggybacks in here as well to make sure that this is going to be added into the treatment. So with this, we have a full session that is pretty much like taking care of different areas. So it's taking care of all the imbalances that we have in the body. We're taking care of the nosodes, isodes, ilersodes, sarcos, the blockage, emotions, social concerns, environmental concerns, and all of that. Okay, so the class portal is always a good resource to use when we're conducting sessions. Okay, so now it seems that we're done with the autonomic nervous system. So as I mentioned before, I'm not going to click in the other ones, but just when you're doing the sessions, make sure you have some time to balance all the nervous system. Okay, so we're going to close in here, go back in here. Let me just double check in here my notes. Oh yes, so I created this Insomnia Support SAP. So this is a gift for you. You can type in these numbers and you can create your own disease dictionary SAP. So in here, I'm going to show you how to create a disease dictionary SAP. So you can right click on any name and then add new name. So I usually like to use Zoho Wellness, which is the name of my practice. And then I'm going to put in here, Insomnia SAP. Then we click OK, yes. Then we go you look for the name that you have created. Mine is right here. Then I'll go click show text and go to therapy. In this black box, we're going to paste the numbers, the signatures, and then we go under edit, make sure to save it so that SAP is going to save in your disease dictionary lexicon list. Now we can calibrate reactivity and you will activate this therapy as normal. So first you conduct in here the calibration, then the bioresonance, and then you start. These are one of the things that it takes a lot of time. Okay, so while that's taking some time, we can come in here, resolve the degeneration scan, and we can look in here also what are the conflicts that are connected to the wellness issues. In this case, it's insomnia. So we see in here fear. There is territory fear, panic. Okay, so we need to make sure that we're treating that fear so this person is able to sleep properly. Okay, so let me verify in here. We're pretty much coming to the end. For those of you who don't have the class portal, there are certain things in there that I mentioned in the class portal that I think you can also find in the class 64. So for example, deep muscle relaxation, relax mind, relax vision, reduce stress in nerves, and swing with dolphins. You can find these ones in the BSR panel. So I'm going to put in here, I'm going to highlight it in purple. Okay, you can find those in the BSR panel, and I'm going to show you here where exactly. So in here, you have reduce stress in nerves, you have reduce stress in spine. Under relaxation, we just notice in there that there is extreme fear, right? Let me just check in here. Panic, right? Terrific fear and panic. So right here under the BSR, in the BSR panel under relaxation, we can also, for the panic, we can do release phobias, okay? And there is one in here, relax mind. Oh, I'm trying to look for it. Reduce. Wait a second. I saw it yesterday and I said, oh, I want to make sure to show this. So increase connection to the universe. Oh, relax mind, right here. Relax mind. Sorry, I have the sun, I have the sun in my eyes, and then it's reflecting to the computer. So pretty much like I had a blindness moment. Okay, so you have some of those therapies in here as well. Let me just go back to the disease lexicon. Now in here, after creating this app, see that the suggested duration therapy is 37 minutes, okay? So now we can do the manual balancing, and in here, we can also add all the piggybacks that we got from the synapse report. I usually like to put them in here under blockages, and you can put in here the information you got from the risk profile as well. So we can upload, and click OK, hide, and then we're going to do the automatic balancing, okay? Okay, so I'm going to go back in here. Usually I do this at the beginning of my sessions. It's always different when I'm showing you the system, because I think I get very excited about showing you different ways of working with the system, and I start like going into different panels and I forgot to set this. But I want to make sure that I show you how I set them, because this can be also beneficial for you as well. So if you do have the signups report, I will encourage you to use all the piggybacks, and you can add them in here in the second line, and then click in here, focus on the item loaded. I would say 99% of the time, I also add this piggyback to release the emotional connection for that, and also to treat the brain degeneration and to detox. Then reload, click OK, and in here, I like to set this up for 12 minutes, okay? After setting up for 12 minutes, I always get a good rectification in here. Usually, I don't go only for the rectification. I like to have in here love index showing as well. I wanted to show you a picture, but my computer got reset recently, so all the files are deleted. But I'm going to make a screenshot, and I'm going to add that probably into the videos as well. Okay, so that's everything for today. Let me just double check. I make sure to show all the things that I wanted to show. If you have any questions, please go ahead and you can ask them now. If you have the class 64 premium version, you can make sure to put the wellness issue that you're treating here in the whole trait, and then you click enter, and this system is going to give you some therapy suggestions. So now we have electrohypnosis for 1 minute. So the majority of the suggestions that we get in here are from BSR. So I'll go to BSR, electrohypnosis. Let's see. The electrohypnosis should be somewhere here. Oh my god, I don't see it. Let me see. Oh, right here. Okay, so it was right there at the bottom. Okay, let me just open in here, go back to us. Yes, sometimes it's not recommendable to click multiple times for the auto test in the portal, because every time you click auto test, you are going to get like a different result, because the system is pretty much incorporating that you already tested that. So it's kind of like you're doing a second test after treating the item. Okay, so if you click on a second time without testing, sometimes it's going to show you the result that you are supposed to get after testing the client, after testing the wellness issues. Okay, so test once, and then you can do the auto test one more time after testing different things, and then you'll get the result that you're looking for. Okay, so if we don't have any other, I didn't see any other questions. Okay, so if we don't have any other questions in here, I will then close in here. I will go to the body scans and face therapy just to make sure that I treat all the foci, because although I'm doing a test client, I have the feeling that I'm also sending signatures to a specific person, so I want to make sure that I close nicely this session. Okay, so I hope you find this insomnia training helpful. I hope that with today's basic training, you had new ideas of things that you can incorporate when dealing with insomnia. And if you have any questions, please, you can always write to me in the Facebook group, and I will be very, very glad to answer those questions. Yes, so Gigi is asking me, how can a client benefit from a video playing when done a remote session. So I'm not sure I'm getting your question correctly, Gigi. So I don't know if you're asking about the videos that played in the class portal when we're doing SAT space training, or if you're asking about the session that I'm doing right now. So if you can clarify that, I'll be happy to answer your question. Okay. Otherwise, thank you everyone for excellent. Thank you for your time and preparation. My pleasure, V. Thank you so much. I wish you all of you a wonderful rest of your week.
Ready to
Bye-bye.
deepen your biofeedback skills? Join our free monthly live training, scan the QR code, and enter our WhatsApp group to receive updates and access details for the next session.